Regular viewers of my channel will know that I'm something of a dancer. I've been dancing the Lindy Hop since the late 1990s, which perhaps explains why I'm so tired. Anyway, I am going to be talking about DJs. Yes, it's true, partly from the perspective, which I can hardly help, of a dancer. But actually, I think anyone who has any personal experience of DJs will recognise the sort of DJs that I'm going to be talking about. If you've ever been to a wedding or a birthday party, or been to some big conference where they have a dance on the Friday night or something to break the ice, and they've booked in a DJ, yeah, you will know the sort of DJs that I'm talking about. He turns up with his van, gets out all his heavy PA equipment, and he does what he does, absolutely regardless of whether it is in any way appropriate or appreciated. Yeah, that sort of DJ. And some of them really are amazingly bad. I was at a wedding a while ago, and I thought the DJ was, he made me angry. He was so bad and rude. He was frankly rude. Anyway, much to my genuine surprise, but also delight and satisfaction, at breakfast on the Sunday morning, everyone at the hotel where everyone was staying, the main conversation was just how atrocious that DJ was the night before. Yes, a couple we all knew had just got married, but the DJ! Anyway, so buckle up, and oh, by the way, I should apologise if you are yourself a DJ. Please understand, I'm not saying that there's no such thing as a good DJ. There are loads of excellent DJs out there. Well done to all of you, and I think even you might be entertained with the recognition you will feel that when you think to yourself, oh yeah, I've been to an event where there's that sort of DJ. I'm not that sort of DJ, of course, but yeah, I have been to that sort of DJ. Anyway, so buckle yourselves up, strap your granny to a chair, because here come the 10 commandments for DJs. You are almost certainly not the star of the show, and you should remember that at all times, because if you ever get deluded into thinking you are the star of the show, then you will start making so many more of the mistakes I'm going to be talking about in this video. You're just the DJ. When someone says to me, Lloyd, do you fancy going to the cinema tonight? I don't say, I don't know. Who's the projectionist? I don't care who the projectionist is, and nobody else does either. When they make the decision to go to make the decision to go to a wedding, for instance, they don't say, "Oh, I might come to your wedding." Who's the DJ? No one cares. You've booked a DJ. Someone found you in the yellow pages. They rang up. They said, "Are you available on such and such a date?" And you said that you were, and they thought, "Great, my job, which was to book a DJ today, I can tick that off the list now. Job done." They don't have a long, in-depth conversation with you about particular styles of music and DJing and so forth. No. And yes, I am aware that there is such a thing as, I know, I diddly quack. Anyway, if you're too young to know what I'm doing here, well, I'm jealous, frankly. But anyway, and I know there's such a thing as the star DJ, but it seems to me, looking at posters advertising events at which they attend, that it takes several of these star DJs to attract people to one of the big, expensive venues in one of the big cities. And I bet even then that the audience doesn't just gather around and stare at them thinking, wow, they put those records on really well, don't they? No, they're looking at each other, they're bopping around, having a good time. The stars are the people you're with, and the alcohol you've drunk, and the general boom, boom, thumpity thump of the room. Those are the stars of the show, not those people that you can hardly see because of all the flashing lights and the darkness and the alcohol haze, the other side of the room. So no, even the biggest DJ stars aren't really the stars of the show. And then to dance, people have gone there to dance. So they're interested in dancing, so they'll be interested in watching the other dancers. When they themselves are not dancing, they watch the other dancers. They don't watch the person who puts the records on. So please, just bear in mind that a humble DJ is 1,000 times better than an arrogant one. And unfortunately, also 1,000 times rarer. Find out in advance what your audience is likely to want. Amazingly, an awful lot of DJs do not do this. I well remember that I was once at a goth wedding. The bride and the groom were both, so gothy. And about half the people at the wedding were gothed up to the nines and clearly wanting to listen to, well, goth music. And did the DJ play any? No. Did he have any? No. That's strange. Why hadn't he found out this in advance? Well, it seems that he had willfully not found this out. People were going up to him, taking CDs and saying, look, please, come on, look at the people in the room. Play this goth music. And after about 2 hours of this, eventually he reluctantly played just a couple of goth tracks and then went straight back to his cheesy disco hits. You know, the stuff that he knew that always goes down well, even though in this case it quite manifestly was not. At another wedding I attended, the bride had very carefully stipulated that under no circumstances should the track that she loathed, New York, New York, be played. When she stood up for her last dance of the evening on her special day before retiring for the night, guess what was played? Now the DJ, I think, thought he was being funny. He was wrong. Now there is a reason to not find out in advance what the audience is likely to want, and that's so that you have an excuse for not being very good. You could say afterwards, oh, nobody told me that. Yeah, so you then didn't have to go to all the effort of doing some research into a genre of music that perhaps you didn't know very much about. Yeah, and you had an excuse for not being very good. Well, if you are doing things in this profession that you have chosen in order to have an excuse not to be very good at it, I think you've chosen the wrong profession, haven't you? Hey, you! Pay attention to what's being well received! Which, amazingly, most DJs do not do. You see, most DJs, they know what people like, and so they'll play that because they know what people like, right? And if it doesn't appear at first to be being appreciated by the people in the room, that's because, you know, he hasn't warmed them up enough yet, and they don't know, but he knows what really goes down well, so he'll get there in the end, is what they seem to think. And I really wish they could develop some sort of other mindset. I was at one wedding years ago, and some friends of mine who knew me as a ska dancer, it was before I got really into swing, they'd invited me along, but I'd been talking to people I hadn't seen for ages for a while, and so it was the DJ had been playing for about an hour before I got onto the floor. And I walked into the room, saw a completely empty dance floor surrounded by tables at which were sitting very, very glum, bored people. Some literally had their heads in their hands. They couldn't talk to each other much because the DJ was playing very loud music, and they perked up. They saw me, oh, Lloyd's here, and they enacted the plan. I didn't know, but they had already arranged that One Step Beyond should be played as soon as I arrived. And sure enough, One Step Beyond, and everyone went, yeah, there was a big cheer, and people leapt onto the dance floor, and we were all going, like, and it's wonderful. And then he immediately went back to playing the cheesy disco hits that always go down well, that he'd been playing earlier, and the floor emptied. Now, when I say that the floor emptied, I don't mean that it thinned out a bit. I mean it emptied. There was no one at all on the floor. It was a complete 100% dancer-free desert. But he didn't take the hint. And amazingly, it took more than half an hour, I think it was 3/4 of an hour, I think it took, to persuade him to play another ska number, Nightboat to Cairo. Oh, we had a great time, and again, exactly the same thing happened. And people were, frankly, slack-jawed with amazement that he hadn't taken the hint. What did it take? Well, it turned out what it took was for people to get so bored and to drink so much alcohol, because there wasn't much else to do, that eventually, in small numbers at first, and then later a moderate number of people got up and had a dance, so that when he played YMCA, and this is perhaps the most depressing for me thing about this anecdote, is that I think it's genuinely quite likely that he went home, perhaps accidentally woke his wife up late as he was trying to creep in, and she said, oh, how did it go, dear? And he said, oh, well, it was quite a tough crowd actually tonight. Took me quite a long time to get them onto the floor dancing, but I got there in the end. Oh yeah, I can do this job. And he actually fell asleep with a clear conscience, thinking that he had done a good job. He had not. Learn something about dance. Now, if you're a DJ, you'll be playing mostly at dance events. You might not think of them as dance events. You might say, no, it's not a dance event. It's a birthday party, but there's a dance floor. Why have they hired this big church hall with a big dance floor in it, or this hotel which has a big dance floor, or conference, wherever it is that you are, there's got a big dance floor. Why do they have these big dance floors? Well, it's so that people can dance. And actually, an awful lot of people like to dance. Now, it's true that not everyone takes dancing very seriously. Not everyone has been to loads of dance classes and learned to dance some particular dance forms. But actually, it is also true that a very large number of people have done those things, and when it comes to the occasion, great, this is their chance to try out their skills. Now, some years ago, I got an email from a DJ who read my article on my website that's about what I'm talking about now. And he, in response to this, said, save it for the dance class. As in, not at his event, not when he's DJing at a party or whatever, save it for the dance class. What a terrible attitude to have. All right, so there are these people who've gone to a dance class, they've taken the trouble and expense to go to a dance class to learn a skill, and you're saying that they don't get to use that skill outside of the context of a dance class? Is that all you think that waltz is? It's something that you do at a dance class. It doesn't actually exist in the wider world? No, these dances are meant to be fun. They are social dances, and it's great to be able to go up to someone, perhaps a complete stranger at an event, and say, excuse me, would you like to dance? And then get up and then waltz her around, or foxtrot her around, or samba with her, or whatever it is. Perhaps it's a folk dance and you're Morris dancing. What the hell? It's all fun, and it's a great way to break the ice, and it's a good thing. It's a time to show off your skills if you've got some, or hone your skills if you want some. Yeah, it's a dance, and dancing's fun. That's the whole point. So the idea that people should leave all that behind and all they should do is dance to your music, which goes thud, 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 all the way through, that's arrogance. It's a form of arrogance. And if you do have music which goes thud, 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 all the way through, do understand that dancers, serious dancers who really want to cut a dash on the floor and have learned some great moves, they have nothing to work with. There's no beat to interpret it there. There's just a tempo, and a pounding one that's actually quite exhausting to listen to all night. So don't play music that goes thud all the way through. And instead, learn a little bit about all the various dances that people might want, and learn what is suitable. I've several times, I've been at an event, and a number of dancers have gone up to the DJ to complain, why are you playing this music? We're here to dance such and such a type of dance. And now you might think at this point that the DJ, if he had any humbleness or reasonableness in him at all, would think, oh, these people know a lot about the dance that they are all enthusiasts of, and I don't actually know much about it, so possibly I should listen to them and learn from them what would be more suitable than what I'm playing now. But no, that's not what they say. They do. Instead, I have at least 3 times heard the DJ say, I really like this one. It's got a great beat. Dance to it. And they have no idea. They have no idea why people are not dancing to this undanceable track. If it's a Lindy Hop event, and they go, I've put on, this is one from back in the day, you'll like this, and they put on House of the Rising Sun by the Animals, which is from the 1960s, and people are trying to do a 1930 swing dance to it. So yeah, it's not really from back in the day as far as a swing dance was concerned, but okay, back in the day is 1960s for you, okay. It's a waltz. There is a house in New Orleans, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, call the rising, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now you could blues to that. There is a house in New Orleans, they call. Yeah, you could blues to that, definitely. But Lindy Hop? They 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, don't even try. Don't even try Lindy hopping to the Animals' House of the Rising Sun. It would just offend my soul. But hey, it's got a good beat. Why don't you dance to this? You're meant to be good dancers, right? Yeah, right. Okay. So don't take that attitude. Take learning something about the various dances seriously, and it's a good idea to have some idea as well as to what's fast and what's slow, because a lot of music might sound one thing but isn't. Oh, I'll put on the slow now, it's all right, that was a bit fast for you, wasn't it? Sorry, I'll put on the slow one. Yeah, this one's called Mac the Knife. Oh, the shark has pearly teeth, dear, and he brings them out at night. Oh, that's really slow, right? Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 3, 2, 1, 5, 6. It's fast. It sounds slow. It's actually fast. So some of them are deceptive. But also know what is fast, even if it's not deceptive, in a given dance genre. So you know if you're likely to exhaust the people on the floor. Yeah, so learn a bit about dance. I said, don't play at ear-shattering volume. Could you turn it down a bit? Oh, thanks goodness for that. Right, don't play at ear-shattering volume because it really doesn't help anybody. Now you may think, oh well, but wait a minute, at nightclubs they play really, really loud music, don't they? I mean, it's so loud that frankly it dims one's vision. So it's incumbent upon me as a DJ at an event to try to emulate a nightclub and also silence people on the floor. They won't be able to talk to each other and they'll all be shouting themselves hoarse because, wow, look how loud I can play my stuff. No, don't do that. Now, nightclubs play ear-shatteringly loud music because they make money selling drinks, and if people are talking to each other they might do something like arrange to go elsewhere and buy drinks elsewhere, and if they're dancing then they're not drinking. So yeah, the way to get people to drink more statistically across the course of a night, large number of people in the venue, is just to play amazingly loud music, so loud that there's no chance that anyone could possibly have a good time in there, but what the hell, that's the culture. You play incredibly loud music. But if you've been booked for a wedding or birthday party, something like that, why are you playing ear-shatteringly loud music? That makes no sense at all. It's no skin off your nose how much they take at the bar. You haven't been hired to emulate a nightclub. If people wanted to go nightclubbing, they presumably would have gone to a nightclub and had the birthday party there. But no, they decided to hire this venue and you because they wanted to have a dance, have some fun, and they want you to play at a volume that, you know, a sensible person might sanely want someone to play at. Now, if it's a wedding, for example, it's quite often the case that there are people at weddings who have flown from the other side of the world to be there, and they can only afford a few days off from work, and then they're going to have to fly all the way back. And there they are, sitting in grim, miserable silence because of you. They wanted to talk to their relatives whom they haven't seen for years, but they can't because you have silenced them, because your music is just so incredibly and unnecessarily and unpleasantly loud. And there are other reasons not to play music extremely loudly. That people might not pay you is one conceivable, admittedly low risk. Another one is it's very bad for your hearing. Yes, you may say, oh, what a square. He's saying that, yeah, turn it down, says Grandad. Yeah, if you want to have the hearing of a 90-year-old, be a DJ who plays music incredibly loudly night after night, and yeah, you will very quickly ruin your hearing. And you'll be damaging the hearing of the people in the room, which isn't long term going to actually enhance their appreciation of music, is it? Now, I know that there is definitely such a thing as good and loud. Oh yeah, people want a bit of woomph. Okay, but dancers don't particularly want the music to be so loud they feel it's going to knock them off their feet. People want to be able to talk to each other, and it's perfectly possible, I know, because I've been to lots of events, mainly dance events, where they've worked this out to have really oomphy sounding loud music, and yet it's still possible for people to talk to the people next to them without shouting themselves hoarse. You could even be standing quite close to the speakers and have a conversation. Yeah, so it's possible. But there is a law. There is a law in Britain, I can't speak for the rest of the world, but definitely this applies in Britain, that no matter how powerful a DJ's PA system is, it will always be overloaded. So he gets his first PA system and he cranks everything up to maximum, and it sounds really terrible, really hideously distorted. And but later he invests in a much more powerful system that could play at the volume that the previous one was screeching at, and actually make everything sound good, all the bass, the treble, and you know, it sounded good, a meaty sound that would not distorted at all, really good. But where's the fun in that, okay? Because this one, if I crank it right the way up, will still distort. Any system will distort if you crank everything to 11, but he then invests in another PA system, and the cycle repeats. No matter how powerful a system is, he will crank it up to the maximum, and everyone will be listening to horribly distorted instead of what could have been really good sounding music. A good, powerful PA system can play good and loud without distortion, and it sounds really good, and everyone will appreciate that. Well, there you go. I woke up this morning. I had to shoot an ad for my top sponsor. You would think that I'd be glad. Wondrium. Here's the thing. Nothing rhymes with Wondrium. You try it. It used to be called the Great Courses Plus. About that one could make a fuss, but Wondrium. Here's what it is. Wondrium's a big website with great lectures from lecturers around the world, from universities that are august. It is a must. You should go to Wondrium. I learn mind-blowing facts like their course on ukuleles taught me that there are things called suspended chords. Oh, now suspended chords. They fill you with suspense because the mind craves resolutions. What I meant to say, like, come on, back to the major chord, and oh, thank goodness for that. Oh, I was in suspense there with that suspended chord. Doesn't that blow your mind, folks? I learned that from Wondrium. And some blues musicians. And I'm only halfway there because there is so much to tell. I have to tell you about the free trial. Yes, if you go to wondrium.com/Lindybeige or click on the link in the description, you will find details of their free trial, and then you can try it out for yourself and see all their great scholars cradles Wondrium. And that is the contractual obligation blues. That's what I got. I got the contractual obligation blues. I have to give you so much news in the format of the blues. I think I've said enough. It was a bit rough. Wondrium. Have a wide selection of music. A very common answer from a DJ to a request is, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have any of that. Well, get some, particularly now. You've really got no excuse now, have you? I mean, we've never had such an amazing access to a vast online archive of all sorts of music than now, and you can get it really quite cheaply. If every DJ had just a few albums of all the major genres of music, well, I think the world would be a happier place. Don't you? And then when you get those requests, you'll be able to honour them. And of course, you may say, well, it's not really a salsa night. But if you just play a few salsa numbers so that those people sitting in that corner over there who've just come, they're friends from Marjorie from accounts, they can have their little salsa dance, and then they'll be happy, and then they'll sit down again. And then you can go back to whatever else that people want to hear. And that'll be grand. And, there are genres that you might think are just not at all your thing. Well, yeah, but what your taste of music is not necessarily very important. In fact, it could be completely irrelevant. You're a hired-in hand. You're there to play what other people will enjoy listening to. And, you may think that folk dancing is really square and fuddy-duddy, but actually folk music, almost everybody enjoys folk music. If you can get people up and everyone then goes this way, maybe they've had a bit of a few to drink, and there's someone who can call out some moves, and they all go 16 to the left, and then they turn and try to go 16 to the right, but there are some people who are so drunk they've only got as far as 12, and they're still going that way, and everyone crashes into each other, and it's hilarious fun. And you'll have missed out if you didn't have some diddly music. So it's a bit of folk music, and why not some Latin? But don't just say, there you go, I played some Latin music, I played some Latin, that's Latin, you should be happy. Yeah. What they wanted was salsa, but you played a tango. How did that help? If they want to dance the merengue, don't play a rumba. So, you need to know a little bit, but you don't have to know that much. You really don't. And so, so have a wide selection of music. I was at one event many years ago, and they'd booked me. It was a swing night event, and they'd booked me, and they'd booked a DJ who was just the standard sort of DJ. So he wasn't a swing DJ, he was just standard DJ type A. He had amazingly, no swing music at all. I mean, swing is one of the major pieces, styles of party music. If you want an evening to have a pleasant atmosphere, be warm and energetic and so forth, swing music is great for a party. He had none, but it was okay because I had plenty, so I gave him some and I picked out some tracks for him and I said, okay, so after my lesson, play these and you can't go wrong. And so I got up, taught them, got everyone onto the floor and I showed them some dance moves and there was a great mood in the room. People were really happy and itching to try these moves out. So I said, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, that was your lesson. And I bowed out and handed them over to the DJ, who then played some thuddy rock music and everybody sat down. And I mean, just thinking about it now, I was spitting feathers with fury at the time, and I am now really. I went over to him and I gave him, I confess, I gave him a bit of an earful because he had the whole, I gave him the whole room on a plate. He had everyone already on the floor and ready to go. He had them there. He had the whole crowd there. All he had to do was play any swing music, but no, he had to go to his rock music because, oh, that's what goes down well. And everyone sat down and I said to him, you'll never get them back now. And sure enough, he never got them back. Anyway, so it's you're not there to educate the people. You're not there to tell the people that your knowledge is superior or that you know more about music than they do. It's to entertain them. And if you do play stuff they're not familiar with, but they really like, hey, that's fine, that's great. If you get people coming up to you saying, hey, what's this music? Then they must be interested and they must like it. So, hey, that's a really good sign. But no one's ever going to come up to you and say, hey, what's this one? It goes, what's that? YMCA? What? Play the ends of the tracks. Okay, granted, this is one perhaps of the less pertinent costumes, but I'm starting to get annoyed now, you may have noticed. Yeah, dancers want to dance all the way through to the end of a track. And who are dancers? They're not necessarily mad, keen dancers, professional dancers, schooled, skilled, brilliant dancers. They're just people on the dance floor, bopping away to the end of the track. They want it to come to an end. Now, okay, yes, granted, there is a place sometimes for crossfading into the next track and keeping it going. Maybe it's that sort of venue and that sort of event. I'm not saying that no DJ should ever crossfade into the next track or should always play the ending of every track. No, I mean, that would be ridiculously stifling of your creativity and freedom and the like. But most of the time, at most events, it's really a good idea to play the ends of the tracks. Let me explain. You see, if I'm dancing with a lady and it's polite, of course, to not dance with her for a very short amount of time, but there comes a point where perhaps I really want to sit down, and I've felt that I've got as far as I really want to with this particular partner, and I need a polite way of getting away from her. Well, it's fine. The track comes to an end. We come to a definite conclusion. I say thank you very much with a smile, and I can walk off, and I haven't been rude. But if the music is just constantly going and going and going, it never stops, then you're forcing me. You're forcing me to be impolite. Also, dancers like to come to a conclusion. It's nice. You have a dance, da-dance, and you finish, oh, that was a good dance, then you can get off the floor and get back to your drink or your friends or whatever it is. But if it's just constant cross, and I remember I was at a nightclub, and a load of us who were dancers had gone early when you could get in for free, and the place is largely empty. And the DJ put on tequila. I forget, there was a particular version of tequila which I was familiar with, and I thought, oh, I know this one. It comes to a halt twice, and then once really big at the end. So it goes da 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 tequila, da 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 da. You know the one? Okay, so we were dancing away. There's almost nobody on the dance floor at this point, and we started to draw a bit of a crowd where people go, oh look, there's a thing happening on the dance floor there, and there are people gathering around the edge of the dance floor and watching us and clapping along and the like, and da 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 jump, hit the second one, bang on, oh yeah, nailed it, da 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 da, okay, and then it builds, da 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 da. He'd crossfaded it into a completely different track, And what do we do? How do we dance to that? We were dancing and now we can't dance and we can't come to any sort of conclusion. We just have to sort of look rather stupid and, wave apologetically at each other and then at the audience and then shuffle off. It was a damp squib of an ending. I went over to the DJ and said, what were you doing there? He said, oh, yeah, sorry. I said, but could you not see what was happening? There was a thing happening on the dance floor. No. Oh, yeah, well, I like to crossfade. He was paying no attention to what was going on, and he crossfaded it to an inappropriate track. And why? Simply because, and this is not a good reason, simply because that's what DJs do these days. They crossfade into the next track. No. Play the endings. And yes, I know that a lot of tracks these days don't really have a proper ending. They just repeat and fade at the end. But of course, back in the day, all tracks came to a proper conclusion because all musicians would think, well, we've got to end this track properly. You don't just fade out. But possibly the reason so many tracks don't have proper endings these days is because DJs and the like fade them out, and DJs on the radio talk over the ending really annoyingly. And the engineers perhaps conclude that, oh, well, we better put our own fade out on the end in case the DJs do a dodgy one, and at least ours will sound a little bit better than it. Anyway, but no, come on. It's musically satisfying. It's narratively satisfying. The dance, the story of the dance, the romance between two people or whatever it is, the group of people who are bopping around, it comes to a conclusion and then everyone feels better. Play the endings! Appreciate that sometimes pauses are good. If it's been a bit frantic for a while, someone's been shouting at you, waving a sword, making threats, you might want a few seconds of blessed silence between one piece of music, perhaps, and the next. And this means that each piece of music comes to a more definite conclusion, and the dancers on the floor can say, thank you very much, that was a very nice dance, and then they can get away politely and find another partner in time for the beginning of the next track, because a lot of tracks are actually musically and rhythmically at their most interesting in the opening bars, so you don't want to miss those, do you? And then when the tune gets going, you have danced up to that point, and then you have something with which to contrast when you change mood for when the main chorus starts or whatever it is when the tune gets going. So yes, it's better to give people a little bit of time, the old folks can try to deal with their tinnitus, and remember, you're not trying to sell drinks, you're trying to make it a pleasant evening, and those little pauses when the sounds that have been hidden in the rest of the room in the noise of the music, all those the sounds coming from the kitchen and the general hubber of people of talking and so forth, and you get to hear those, you get to hear the buzz in the room, which gets obscured quite often by music. And so yes, it's actually, you're improving the ambience of the whole evening, the timing, the pace. The evening won't seem so frantic, so hurried, so oppressive if there are pauses, a little bit of quiet every now and then. And if someone has an announcement to make, they can wait until the next pause and then just say to everyone, could the owner of the Jaguar please move it because the ice cream van can't get in, that sort of thing. They don't have to fight their way across a crowded dance floor to you and then get you to turn everything down and interrupt the fun to make the announcement. Yeah. Pauses are good. Don't play 3 fast ones on the trot. Now, obviously there are exceptions. I mean, if something absolutely amazing is happening and the world's greatest dancers are all outdoing each other and the crowd is just going wild and all the dancers are focused on this, you might want to really keep it going because the energy in the room is amazing. But those times are very, very rare. Even at Harang, possibly the world's greatest swing dance camp with the best dancers from all around the world, where they dance all the way through to breakfast every night. That only happens maybe once a week, something like that. Those are very special occasions. Okay, so more ordinarily, don't play 3 fast ones on the trot. I've just thought another exception, of course, if you're playing at a rave or something and everyone's just sort of oscillating on the spot, drugged up to their eyeballs, then, well, yes, okay, maybe it would be appropriate under those circumstances to play 3 fast ones on the trot. And if nobody is dancing and for some reason 3 fast ones somehow works for the occasion, well, all right, 3 fast ones then. But if there are people dancing with each other, 3 fast ones on the trot could just finish a lot of people up. I mean, if you're dancing with a partner, for instance, and it involves travelling around the floor and then whirling your partner around and sometimes taking your partner's weight and so forth, if it's really fast, and 3 of those will finish off even a very fit dancer. And it's nice to vary it a bit, you know. There are a lot of dance moves that work much better to slower music, so give those a chance as well and vary it a bit. But essentially, do bear in mind that you're just a DJ. It's all right for you. You're just standing there looking smug, maybe playing the tambourine if you want to show off, and putting the records on and maybe doing this with a headphone. That takes much less energy. Just think of the poor dancers. Don't make speeches unless you've got something good to say. Now, you may be, of course, one of the world's finest orators, in which case, oh, please, don't let me hold you back. You say that wonderful, beautiful and original thing that you have to say. Or it could be that some people have come across to you and they've said, oh, the bride and groom are just about to leave. Could you just wish them, well, and the last toast or something, because we're all too drunk and shy. Could you do it? Well, of course, if you've been asked nicely to do that sort of service, why should you not comply? But most DJs are not great orators and have very little to say, but some, buoyed up by their sense of self-importance and a weird belief that they are somehow central to how the evening goes, they will get on their PA system, and if their PA system is like 99% of PA systems as used by DJs, it will sound something like this. All right, I'll be a little bit more generous. Let's imagine that he's got one of the 1% where you can actually hear what he's saying. Then it's usually something like this. And it's quite often spoken over the last dance. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for coming. I think I can say we've had a wonderful time. I wish you all a safe journey home, and none of this is original, none of this is interesting, all of it is ruining the last dance because, we've got that special person in our arms and we want the last dance to be that special moment. This is the last time. We won't be seeing this person for years, perhaps. And instead of nice music, we've got this booming, distorted, horrible, pointless speech over the top of it. And does it mean anything at all? You've thanked us for coming. Why have you thanked us for coming? I mean, I'm here because my brother's getting married. I wouldn't have missed his wedding for the world. I didn't actually come because they booked a DJ and the DJ was you and I wanted to listen to your speech. No. Don't thank me for coming. I was coming anyway. Trust me. Why have you said that we've all had a wonderful evening? What? You're taking a risk, actually, aren't you? Because what if a lot of people are actually sitting there seething with resentment that they haven't had a great evening and it's because of you? Okay, so maybe you want to avoid that. And wishing us a safe journey home, again, a pointless cliche. And do you think the taxi driver is really going to drive any more carefully because you have wished us a safe journey home? No. Please, if you have something to say, okay, yes, say it. But if you haven't, please be quiet. Oh, and best of luck with all the DJing.